congrats to Wisconsin. I thought they really set a tone early in the game with the force with which they played, particularly on the offensive end. Their three guards, Boyd, Blackwell, and Rhodey, man, they played well together tonight. It's one thing to have three, outstanding perimeter players, but when they play together the way that they did today, it just puts you in sync. And then I thought the bigger guys did a great job playing off of them and being ready. Wisconsin's cutting, their spacing gave us some trouble in the first half. And then the second half, I think once both teams got in foul trouble, it made it a little bit disjointed for us in terms of we're trying to be aggressive and tough and physical on defense, but we're also in foul trouble. Good teams put you in that bind. We have to understand as a group that, in order for us to be the best version of us, there has to be more of a desperation to own details. I thought we got a lot of good shots that did not go in. That's so far been the story of our season, so we've got to get better at making those, and we will.
We got a question right here, Coach.
Shaka, you changed the opening lineups. You started Adrian and Royce in the second half. What maybe hasn't been working well with the starters, and how are you going to evaluate that going forward?
Well, I told our guys, Ben, going into the season that we've started 8 guys in the last 3 years going into this year. We've had unbelievable continuity in those lineups, and I told them this year I have a feeling it's going to be different. And I'm not, we're not doing it different just to be different, but we just don't really have a set 5 that we know for sure, is going to be the 5 we have to have in the game. I thought Adrian Stevens did a terrific job in our last game. Helping us do what we needed to do down the stretch. And so I inserted him into the lineup. And then halftime, I just felt like Royce was playing better than Caden, so that's why we made that change.
Go ahead, right back in.
You touched on this in your opening statement, but what is the challenge of trying to defend this version of Wisconsin, what they're attempting to do?
Well, I think that, again, the best teams complement each other in the right ways. Blackwell is a special player. I've coached a couple guys the last few years that are now in the NBA, and he's that good. And then, Boyd, with what the pressure he puts on you with his quickness and the way he attacks in transition, his relentlessness trying to get in the paint. And then I thought Rhodey was terrific. We know Rhodey well. He played high school basketball with David Joplin, and we recruited him. So he did what he does. He's a heady player. He's a good shooter. He's a good passer. He's an aggressive driver. I think the way that they moved the ball from side to side was a huge benefit to them because they, through that, were able to get our guys in rotation. It made us a little bit late helping each other. And then they capitalized on that. I mean, it felt like Blackwell made every open 3 he got. Rhodey, and they did a great job capitalizing when they had opportunities.
Coach, right over here.
This game means so much to Marquette fans, and it's sort of been a little bit maybe of a turbulent start to the season for you guys. Just, do you have any message to the Marquette faithful as the season gets into a tough game at Purdue next week and then Big East play?
Yeah, we're going to keep working. We're not going to cancel the season if that's what you're asking. We believe in growth. We have, as you saw at the end there, we've got a lot of young guys that, we believe in, that we need to grow up. We have been blessed and fortunate to have some really good teams of late, and this team's behind those teams right now. That's a fact. And we need to get better, and we will. And the one thing that our guys do is they come to the Al McGuire Center every day to work. Right now, we're ahead in practice of where we are in games, and that's, a harsh reality for us that we have to change. But in terms of, our mindset towards a year and who we can be, there's so much growth ahead of us, and I don't think there's a guy in that locker room that feels like there's not a ton of room for improvement and room for growth.
Thanks.
Shaka, you mentioned a couple of the opportunities you could have had on shots and things like that. And does that also include like some and ones that could have kept you in the game and just, you know?
Free throws, yeah. Layups, free throws, open threes. You know, the goal on offense is to create a great shot for guys that you feel like can knock them down. I thought, you know, there was a lot of possessions where we did that and we didn't make the shot. There was other possessions where Wisconsin defended us really, really well, and our spacing wasn't where it needed to be. But, I mean, the reality is if you compare the two teams today, they did a much better job capitalizing on open shots that they generated through their offense than we did. You know, both teams got to the foul line some, they got to the foul line more, and they made more of them. You know, there was at one point in the second half, I think we had cut the lead to maybe 11, and, you know, I looked at the stat sheet and I'm like, man, if we make our free throws, you know, it'd be more like 4 or 5. But, you know, these are the type of games where there's a variety of things like that that add up, you know, to make the score what it was. And Wisconsin deserves a lot of credit.
We had a question, right? You still have a question?
Yeah, just their front court with Winter and Bielowskis. What kind of matchup problems did they present for you?
They're good players. They're good players. I think, you know, Winter's gotten better and better every year. I think his rebounding was a huge factor today. You know, the thing that they've always done for a million years here is develop their bigs, you know, over time and get better and better and better. And Winter's kind of the next in the line of that. Bielowskis, he hit those late threes. I thought our guys did a good job on him for most of the game. But then he got going. I think all 3 threes he hit were, you know, within the last 5-6 minutes. But he showed what he's capable of doing. I know they were super high on him coming in. And he's someone that's got a lot of upside. But I'm telling you, the perimeter guys they have, the way that they play, it really, not to take anything away from their bigs, it sets those guys up if they're ready to attack for success. And, you know, Blackwell made it look so easy early that, okay, now you got to make sure you're giving a lot of attention to him. That opens up things for a lot of guys.
Let's do 2 more questions, okay? Go ahead, and then John.
I guess just Adrian down the stretch, you mentioned you have young guys making growth. He finished with 15 points in his first start. Just what do you like about him, especially in the second half when he really started?
He really cares. I mean, he really has a competitive desire to him. You know, I think with him and with NJ, if we're going to play them significant minutes like we are, you're going to have to live with some freshman stuff. And the good thing about those guys is they're only going to get better. They're only going to grow. They care about winning. They care about Marquette. You know, on the perimeter, today was a older players game. You know, and you know you saw for Wisconsin some veterans, you know, really being a step ahead. And you know, those 2 guys as freshmen, you can't necessarily speed that up. I thought that they competed, but at the same time, there's a lot of plays that we can look at and talk about positioning or communication or stance or readiness. But I like both of those guys' disposition. And, you know, for us, as we're building, that has to be a foundation for us. You know, when we have 5 guys on the floor that for 40 minutes have the right disposition, we will play better.
John,
You were
final question.
mentioning Blackwell being a special talent and, you know, the NBA talent that you've had. You've obviously gone up against pretty good backcourt players too this season. What is it about Blackwell that maybe distinguishes him from a lot of the other backcourt talent you've gone up
Poise. You know, just doesn't get sped up. He knows what he wants, but at the same time, he doesn't force what he wants. And I think the way that they're playing with probably, depending on the possession, 3, 4, 5 different ball screens on the same possession, it really fits him and Boyd and Rhodey. You know, Rhodey's a very good ball handler and passer as well. But his poise and his toughness, he has kind of a unique blend of of skill, but also brawn. And, you know, it's impressive, man. I remember him playing in AAU for the family out of Detroit. And, you know, he was a good young player, but, you know, he's just gotten better and better every year. And that's a credit to him and also the staff here.
Okay.